Hey, what's up, creators? It's your old buddy John, and you have once again located the Sketch Magazine podcast. I am here, as always, with sketch publisher Bob Hickey, sketch editor Bill Nichols, and tonight we have a special guest. It is the head of comic related, my good friend, Chuck Moore. So, how are you tonight, Chuck?
I am alive, well, kicking, and happy. How's that?
Fantastic. And how are you tonight, guys?
I'm doing great. This is Bill.
I'm doing good, John.
And tonight we are going to be talking, well, we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, but we're going to be talking about marketing, how to get your name out there, how to get yourself seen and known by the general public. And Mr. Moore happens to be something of a master at that particular thing, so we thought we'd bring him on tonight.
I would not go that far.
To let him share his vast amount of knowledge in that particular subject. So, take it away, guys.
Well, I think we'll start this with we're just going to throw some questions out, all right, Chuck?
Okay, go for it, man.
And I'm sort of going to go as I'm the publisher / studio / creator. And the biggest thing is, first of all, how would I submit news to you that you would consider carrying on the website?
Well, in terms of comic related, it's pretty simple. I mean, you can go to press@comicrelated.com, which is an email address, and we have kind of a multi-point plan that we like to do. First things first. If you're a mainstream publisher, you're going to get on the website. That's okay. That's type stuff. We filter that in. That goes in. Some of it, if you're really big, will go in our rapid fire news. Some of it will go in our main news feed. What I'm really looking for is the new creator, which I think is really good for your audience. People that are doing their first comic, are a small studio, haven't had a lot of exposure, that is the thing that we love to work with and cultivate at Comic Related. It is the original mission for why I kind of created the website, is a place where people can get a spotlight where they can't kind of get the spotlight somewhere else. And we pepper the site with the other mainstream news stories and draw people in and then expose them to new stuff. So emailing that email address is great, and we offer reviews. We offer, if we kind of build a little bit of a relationship with you, we'll take that into interviews. We love to run previews. People I don't think, take enough advantage of the fact that we'll take a couple pages of your comic, run those pages, and then do a direct pointer to your website, which is just a straight push through of traffic to you. So if you're new, we like to help. We like to adopt people.
Right. Well, I know an example was last week or week before last, you guys ran a Claysway little bust out on a print we offered. I saw instant hits from that. I'm a Google Analytic freak, So I looked at when it hit on the site, and I looked at the Google Analytics, and I saw instant hits from that press. So it does work getting on your site. But other than just hand feeding you news, what are other possibilities they have at Comic Related? As far as I know, you carry a community to get people involved.
Yep. We have a vast kind of creator community, which is populated mostly by comic creators or people who tinker in the world of comic creation. So there's a lot of people in our community that, unlike a lot of comic forums that you go to, where you get a lot of kind of fans. We love fans. We highly encourage them to come around, but it just seems like we've cultivated a real crowd of comic creators. There's a lot of giving back and forth of information and helping each other out, it's just a really cool, heartfelt community. Like I said, we do a series of different podcasts on a series of different topics, where we're doing podcasts now 6 days a week. And there's always space somewhere, usually, to kind of either talk about or promote or do different things. We're also a forum that doesn't discourage you from posting your own work. A lot of forums out there will call it, we don't want you to spam the forum, but at the same time, if you're doing a project and you want someplace to show it off and get feedback, we encourage that. We don't discourage that here at Comic Related.
Right. Well,
yeah.
Well, we've known you for a long time. Years. I've known you for a few years, and we were real happy when you guys adopted the sketchboards.
Yeah,
and
it's our honor. You guys have the history.
No,
we're honored.
It was good to. Well, I know Bill was happy to hand over the babysitting reigns, huh, Bill?
Just a little bit.
Well, what we were got spammed to death, so we were looking for a new home, and then we were very happy that Comic Related offered us space. And I feel like the boards have really grown over there too. And that's, I think, it's important that a lot of new creators, new publishers realize that this is available to them. I don't think they do. I think they feel like they have to be somebody or know somebody to get press on Comic Related or be involved in the community. I see it all the time with these young creators. They don't realize, I don't want to say how easy it is, but how much they should reach out. And not just you. I love Comic Related, but suggest how can they get press other places? What would you say?
Well, it's a little bit more complex, I think. And much like the same way that you break into the industry sometimes, it's important that you build a name or a following for yourself. Now, you can get press on some websites. The main bigger websites, your CBR, your Newsarama, it's tough. If you're a new comic creator, it's tough because they tend to lean towards the people who have some kind of established following or are somehow kind of a little bit tied into the more art scene of the comics. So the first thing I think most people need to think about doing is building a little bit of an audience for your own product. And, you can throw a million press releases out there, but the time when I think that is the most effective thing to do to promote yourself, I think is we're beginning to see that pass. Because there are so many press releases that come into a website during a day that you have to filter to a degree. I filter in a little bit different direction than maybe some other websites do, but I know, to get in, you've got to build yourself, and you start from the ground up. And I think social networking, things like Facebook, things like Twitter, things like doing a webcomic version of maybe some of your properties, something that builds exposure for you, begins to build that groundswell, which you need. You need it to go to a publisher. You need it to pitch your work. You have things like Marvel and DC now talking about, they want to see the established kind of background of the individual before they even take a look. And even smaller studios are getting that way now.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got to build the base. And if you build the base, not only are your press releases going to begin to be covered, but you're going to start turning up on podcasts, and it's a snowball effect. But you've got to be willing to put together that first little snowball and start it rolling down the hill.
Right. And this is along with continuing trying to produce, too. You've got to continue to produce your work and get better. And the more, of course, it's always the more you produce, the better you get. And you've got to slide in the what I call the PR end of things. You've got to make that communication, build your social networking. You have so many abilities now that you didn't have just a few years ago. And, of course, reaching out Comic Related, the new and upcoming creators have a much better chance, but they've got to produce. They've got to get their stuff out there. And showcasing on like the community boards is a great way to do that. And get feedback that will help you grow too. And that's something I think CR really, really offers. I know CR offers it on their boards. Sketch, get involved on the sketch part of the CR boards. It really offers it.
Yep. And it's like anything in life. I mean, CR is, I think, a really good tool, but it is one tool. And I think the things people need to keep in mind is they have to be everywhere. And it is hard. This is not easy. If you think you're just going to waltz in and take over the world, then you better be Jeff Smith. Yeah. If not, then you gotta, and you better have a Vijaya backing you up. But if
that is his wife's name, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Get your minds out of the gutter, people. That's the lady's name.
It's an incredibly sweet woman.
Yes.
Anyway, you've got to utilize any door that's open. CR is a door that's open. Utilize it, but also get out there on DeviantArt. Start a Tumblr. Start on Facebook. Start a fan page for your work. Start a company page. Twitter. Link as much stuff as you can together so that one thing feeds into another. And when you get totally burned out, then look for help. That's where you can do. You got to work at it. And if you don't work at it, you're not willing to work at it. It's like getting, you ask somebody at Marvel how to become an amazing artist. They say draw nonstop. How do you get in front of the public view? Stay in front of the public eye nonstop.
But you got to.
But don't offend them.
Right. But you got to balance that, because as an artist and a creator, you've got to produce. You got to produce, but you got to set aside that time to create. Because if not, then and I've worked with some of these guys. These guys who wake up and all they want to do is produce, and they're the ones sitting at home drawing the most beautiful artwork that nobody ever gets to see.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, you've got to balance it, and it's hard to balance, because I know I'll go on a social media tangent and then get creative, and I'm like, I don't want to do any of that. I want to stay creative. I want to do this. So you've got to either, like you said, balance it or bring in help. And I sort of said I'm moving into something that you and John are now offering. Yeah. And that's the help. I'm looking forward to taking advantage of it. And I think you need to offer it. I know you guys get first year, you guys open up the company to everybody. And if you want to sort of give your pitch here, as you want to call it.
Sure.
And let them know what we're talking about as far as what you guys can do as far as help.
Well, John Wilson and I, on January 1st, we launched a second company, and I'm officially taking off one hat and putting on the other. Comic related, you've got all the resources in the world, but also Sequential Support for when you want to get serious, for when you want to take your work to the next level, when you want a team that is working with you that's handling some of these, whether it be social media aspects or press release aspects or coordinating interviews or getting your property out there and getting it in front of the public eye. Sequential Support is a company that we've created that is a press and representation firm for comics that we work with you to do the things you maybe don't have time to allow you to focus on your product a little bit more. And we're at sequentialsupport.com, and there's a whole list of services there.
Okay, you guys heard it here. And who better than somebody who runs a site who really has worked hard at getting news out there and building a following than to help you get your following built. Right. And it's just how much you want to balance,
Yeah.
So I think it's a great thing. I first heard of it, I think, was New York. When we were up in New York, you sort of tossed it out there and was telling me about it just a little bit.
Yeah. And
I definitely signed on. I know Blue Line's ready to sign on. So
we appreciate it.
We look forward to, I truly, as much work as we're all doing right now for Skystorm, I'm looking forward to handing over the social media. And you still got to stay involved as a creator. Because they want one thing, and we talk about this on the podcast, Chuck, is that social media is they want a little bit of you. You don't have to tell them your most private secrets, but, there's nothing with, like yesterday I threw on there, hey, sitting here watching John Wayne movies. Yeah. Shoot, you guys replied, Lisa replied, people reply. I got some texts from that, from other people, and it's just funny. It's funny. You give them little bits of that along with your creative stuff, and it keeps them happy. So you still sort of have to be involved with it, but you guys will handle the bulk of it and keep it consistently going. And like you said, that's what you got to do. You got to be out there consistently.
Yeah. I mean, we work with a company, Retail Cafe, that they do social media. They do some of that themselves. What they wanted from us was a backup plan. When it falls by the wayside because they get busy for a day or two, we're keeping an eye on it, and we step in and make sure that there's some fresh content out there. It's little things like that. We typically start these things by doing some kind of extended meeting with the client where we sit down, we get to know your comics. We become not just someone you've hired, but kind of part of your family, part of your team. I mean, I say the word family a lot, but it's kind of the way I look at all this.
Right.
And we can do press releases. We can advise you on all kinds of things. But we've also kind of worked with a network of individuals who produce comics, who produce stand-ups, who produce pins, mugs, T-shirts, totes. We not only just have our services, but we have a network of services behind us that we can coordinate with, that we can do a heck of a lot. Social media, whatever you need, we can work with you.
Cool.
Yeah.
And John,
that's enough pitching.
Do what?
That's enough pitching.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Just show them how good you are at it, and that's good.
Well,
that's what you got to do.
One thing you touched on that I want to just comment on for a second that I really do believe, and it's addictive, I'll admit. I mean, I've gotten so into social media that I can't have my address out there publicly anymore because I don't want people to know where I live. But you do have to give a little bit of yourself. And I think that is something that you can't just present a book and walk away. People in today's world expect to not only know your book, but they want to know a little bit about you as a creator. And if you don't give them that, I think you are working at a disadvantage. And they do need that little avenue in. It doesn't have to be your whole life,
No.
but they do need to know little things about you, because it only helps them believe in what you're trying to do.
It makes them care about you.
Absolutely.
No matter what, like I said, the John Wayne thing, that was sort of cool. I just threw it out for the heck, and all of a sudden I know Lisa's throwing me movies, and I'm on Netflix looking them up, But it's sort of like, and like I said, I got a couple emails from people who won't post on Facebook. They don't want it out there, but they're in contact with me, So I guess they care. And, we sort of did that with Clay's Way. That's probably why we got our readership built up, because we were throwing little bits of Clay and how he's really my son, and this is our family, sort of, and sort of threw that out there, and people cared. Now a lot of our readers are friends right now. We're bringing in new readers all the time, and people you stumble across on Facebook, but that's how you build it. You build with people you know. It used to be, you sold your copies to your aunts and uncles, your mom and dads, to get off the ground. And now you sort of have that social media that you can build. And you need to start building early, too. It's important.
Mm-hmm. As you're building your project, build your audience. As you're building those pages, share tidbits. The time where you build it in a garage and you hand it out at a show and you think that's where you go is gone. If you're not building your audience as you're building your page, you're missing the boat.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, this really is to the online equivalent of looking up at a convention. It's engaging the audience.
Yeah, that really bothers you, don't it, John?
That annoys the hell out of me. It really does. It really does annoy me a lot when people don't look up at conventions. But yeah, this is essentially the equivalent of that. You're engaging the audience. You're getting people to look. You're getting people to pay attention. Even if it is just, something as small as, I remember Eric Adams posted something the other day on Twitter about today I will pencil more. That was the whole post.
Yes.
Yep.
But it was like, okay, well, go pencil, Eric. Yeah, that's a good thing.
But out of that, we know Eric's working on some new stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
To come out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's like, on a very personal level, I'm writing a novel, and as I'm writing this novel, I'm posting on Facebook, where I'm writing it, how I'm writing it, how much I got done, and where I'm at in the process. And that's 1,000 and some, 1,100 people that are reading about the project.
Right. Hey, Bill, you got this sweet voice that they talk about on Facebook all the time. You need to talk.
Yeah. That would be me.
Those dulcet tones.
Yeah.
What about my sweet voice?
Yeah. You need to use it.
He wants you to use it.
You guys are doing just fine.
Yeah, but you can bring up the old days, you old fart.
You're almost as old as me.
Yeah, I know. You didn't have to throw that back.
50 years.
I didn't know Bill was as old as you.
Bill's older than me.
I'm kidding.
You're killing me, Chuck. Yeah, you go, how long's Blue Line been around? 30 years?
50 years.
Years, man.
Oh, it hasn't. Kill him.
Okay, sorry.
My kids already think I'm Stone Age.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mean they had cars back when you were young, Dad? Oh.
Tell us about the time before the internet, Daddy.
Now, I could tell you that. I can tell you growing up with a black and white TV.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you about the remote control that was a clicker by sound, not by electric.
Oh, I remember that, too.
Well, Zeniths, yeah.
Yes.
Had one of
I
those.
can tell you when I was the remote control.
I think I was that, too.
Yeah.
But go change the channel. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, things are real different out there now.
Yeah.
And thank goodness we have sites like Comic Related and who's out there helping the little guys. And I'm so glad to see that you guys are peppering the larger publishers, because I really think that helps the little guys tremendously. Like I just checked and I saw a Thor post on there and a DC Online post on there, along with an Oni post, and those help us little guys, because people are going to stumble across those, read them, and then they're going to say, oh, there's something about Clay's Way, or there's something about this new little, publisher. Let me click on it. And I agree with you. People aren't using your previews enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes. I would love to have one or two of those every day. Yeah, especially Indian Small Press.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think previews and reviews are something that a lot of people aren't utilizing. And what a lot of people forget is that it's not just, the core group that's doing reviews. We'll take reviews from pretty much anybody.
Yeah, I'd actually like some new reviewers. So, anybody out there, no offense to the ones we've got. 2 of the most solid freaking reviewers in the world. I would just like to have a few more going.
Right.
Yeah. Add to those voices.
You heard it here.
Yeah, it's just it's always been my subversive. It's been a very I would say selfish quest, because I get no more, I know where to go find my Captain America story. I know where to go find my Batman story, and they're great. I thoroughly enjoy them. I love those. But what I don't get to find are the little indie created masterpieces, and those are the ones that really get my blood pumping and get me excited. And through Comic Related, I have discovered so many stories that I would never have personally seen. And if I get the opportunity to take those properties and show them to the 7.5 million hits that we got in December, if I can take and get it in front of 100,000 people, that I feel like I've done something. That's my altruistic reason for why I wanted Comic Related. Yeah, we do the mainstream coverage, but quite honestly, I do a lot of that because I want to highlight the story that's in between those stories sometimes, because I think it really deserves it.
Well, the thing is, the mainstream, and you and I have gone back and forth on this several times.
Yeah.
The mainstream does draw an audience that will stumble across that small press reader, and you give that reader an opportunity to be seen, that where he's not going to be where he's just on some little indie review site or blog somewhere. Those readers, possible readers aren't going to stumble across that. So definitely, I'm glad to see the big, you guys roll off so many stories on a day now, having some mainstream stuff in there just really enhances, and it gives us all an opportunity to get seen more. So yeah, that's definitely a huge plus.
If the website was nothing but Indian Small Press, it would be alienating, because it would have a very, it's that other thing. Mixing the two, I think, is a really good key to getting it out there.
It's like being at a convention, Chuck. Y'all go to a convention, I'll see a J. Scott Campbell sitting now in Artist Alley. He actually hangs out in Artist Alley now.
Yep.
And you'll go 2 tables down, and you'll see the creators of Skygirl Pirate.
Yep.
Great book. Stumbled across it. They were pre-selling the first issue. I gave them the money, didn't expect it, got in the mail a few months later. It was awesome.
Cursed Pirate Girl.
Cursed Pirate Girl. That's what it was.
Cursed Pirate Girl. Yeah. Oh, freaking incredible art.
No.
Yeah,
and
incredible.
They had sample stuff out there, and they were pre-selling their first issue. I'm trying to think if this was Detroit or where. I think it was Detroit a couple years ago, and I didn't expect to get it, but I'm always out there picking up some stuff. Prepaid them. A couple months later, boom, came in the mail. I was like, wow, okay, they actually did what they said. Beautiful artwork, and then they've spun out and did more. We'd never seen them if they hadn't. They were set up next to. It wasn't J. Scott Campbell, but it was some big artist who I was looking at his artwork. Would never seen it. Same way as CR. I think the big articles definitely bring in the viewers who's going to stumble across us little guys and check us out. I don't like to say alternate. I hate the word independent. We got to come up with another word. I don't know what it is, but
sequentially supported.
There
creators.
You go.
No, I'm kidding.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go.
Well done.
No. Every once in a while, I am kind of surprised. The website is getting bigger and bigger, and it kind of, not to toot our own horn, but I was kind of told in a surprising way the other day. Those I forget which company it is. I think it's Sony or someone. The ones that's doing the Magic the Gathering game.
Yeah. I think so.
Well, the other day we ran a press release of theirs, and the next morning I woke up to the press agent for the company frantically, frenetically, whatever, trying to get a hold of me because we had slipped in the private link to their to contact them for the preview imagery.
Yeah.
And in the overnight, their server just about got destroyed with requests.
Oh, God.
It was one of those little subtle things that told me, okay, yeah, we're doing something right.
Yeah.
He's like, please take it away. And do you need anything else? That was kind of the message we got from him.
Yeah, in other words, a lot of hits our way, but
yeah, but we can't quite handle it on that server. So
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was kind of a rewarding little thing. Every once in a while, you hear little things like that kind of crack me up. But yeah.
Hey, Bill, you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
You remember the old days when we used to do comics?
Way back in the Stone Ages. Yeah,
Stone Ages. We drew them on walls, right?
Oh.
Stone tablets with chisels and hammers.
I actually saw a creator who was a lot like that at a recent show.
Who's that?
I forget his name. Colsair, I forget. But he actually takes wood and etches on it and then does a press with it to create the comic, to do like a horror comic. But anyway.
Does a reverse stamp out of wood?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's the next best thing to carving stone.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
That's crazy, man. But I like to see it.
He does a series of Blue Water, actually.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, he ran Bartholomew of the Scissors, I think was the name of the series he did. But anyway.
Yeah. Have you seen that?
I've seen bits of that. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I gotta check it out.
I love cool. Yeah. Clever.
Cool is good. Cool is good.
What if he sells his wooden stamps?
He did. He had
Did
the
he
shows.
really?
He actually had the carvings. Yeah, it was pretty freaking neat.
Can you imagine one piece of original artwork and you buy the wooden block?
You get a wooden block.
Oh, that'd be cool.
The 12 commandment, 10 commandment.
I keep selling them. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
I wonder how it keeps people from inking the block back up and just making a bunch of that page over and over again.
Big carving, not for resale across it when you get it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like that big scratch across the center of it.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that people can think about is, podcasts are the rising new media, I think. What you're doing here is awesome. Getting creators, getting creative and getting out and talking and approaching shows, no matter how big or small the show. I mean, you can go to somewhere like Comic Geek Speak, which has, a massive following.
Right.
Or you can go to, the smallest mom and pop show that's just starting up. But even those shows still have a following. You're still going to reach creators. And there's just so many ways in which you can get your message out there. And just people need to take advantage of it. We're in a golden age of ways that you can reach people which you never have been able to before.
Oh,
and if people just need to pump it.
And podcasts are not that hard to do. I mean, right now the software we're running on this is a free software. It's CallGraph. It's free.
Yeah.
Headsets, you can get them for $30-$40, or probably even cheaper if you really looked around. Boom, you're in the podcast business.
Yep.
Between
you're good.
Libsyn, who can house it and get it on tunes for you,
Mm-hmm.
you're set. Bill and I have talked about starting to do a Skystorm one, and starting right now in the early developments, discussing stuff we're doing and what we're working on, what we're trying to achieve, just short little podcasts, and start getting in the background built up for them. So when the site really goes live, there's some history built as far as podcasts. So people like to download, 4 or 5, especially if they're short, they're half-hour shows or something like that, and then listen to them all together.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely podcasting is a great way to do that. You get it there again. It's make that connection. It's hearing that voice. It's building that recognition. Except when Bill doesn't talk very much.
Well, you got me on here. I talk.
But
it's the yin and yang of podcasting.
There you go.
We got them both covered on this one.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But there's all kinds of ways to reach out. You still need to do shows if at all possible. I know sometimes it's not possible because where you live originally or finances or whatever. And that's the great thing about all this now. And I get pumped because I was in the dark ages with Bill, and we had to do shows. We had to travel if we ever wanted a chance to get anything built up. That was the only way we made a connection. I mean, for some reason, we very luckily fell into some wizard press, which was unbelievable. I had some connections at Diamond and Previews that helped us off the ground that most people didn't have. But yet, you still had to build by doing shows, whether they were the little shows up or the big shows, work your way up. Now you have all these other possibilities that we didn't have the comic related. Well, we didn't have the internet, did we, Bill?
No.
Yeah, we were pre-internet, folks.
But wait. Now, if I remember correctly, Bill and John though wasn't it you guys that did like a mailer type fandom back in the day?
Yeah, we were members of APA 5 back in the day.
See, there we go. So
explain that to people, because you just mentioned something completely alien to everybody over the age of.
And tell them who was involved in it.
Or under the age of 20, I think.
Probably more like 30.
Well, when I got out of college and I started getting involved in a comic store, somewhere in that period of time, I had joined APA 5, which I'm not sure when it was, in the 70s, I think, started by Mark Verheiden. But you had people who are past members, like Frank Miller was a member. Most of the Dark Horse guys, Mike Richardson, Randy Stradley, Randy Amberlin, Chris Warner, Mark Badger, list goes on and on. James D. Smith, who did Boris the Bear. So all those guys had been members, and there were other people who had been comics people too. And basically in APA, you do your own section. You do your own little zine of however many pages you want to do it. You make however many copies. I think it was 25 or 30. And you send that to the central mailer, who takes all the ones that were received, collates them, one per issue, one per copy, whatever, of each member's APA. So what you get back is an issue with one of each person's zine that has submitted that month. So from APA 5, which is, again, predates the internet, I got friends like Robin Ader, Clint Hollingsworth, the guys from Chris Warner's my buddy. That was my first Chicago Comic-Con. I met Chris and Mark Badger, and that was, to me, that was cool. And from then on, I was invested in any project that they did. If they did it, I wanted to check it out. And there were other people, but other people have joined. Bob joined, John joined. My buddy Mark Hester was a member for a while. Joe Caroni was a member for a while. And there are still people on, I think, Facebook and just different other groups that are present and past members of APA 5. And so it has this legacy. And there are other APAs out there, too. Ex-APA. There's a Kappa APA, I think, maybe.
What do you get that was a benefit from that? What did you get from it?
Well, what I got out of it was every month I tried to do something that I would try to do. Sometimes I did reviews. Sometimes I pushed my own boundaries, my own limits, I guess. Because sometimes I would try to do a strip. One time I did comments on other people's. I did them in comic strip form. Sometimes I would do comic strips featuring other members of the APA, or especially Eric Weems. We had a running thing back and forth. Sometimes I did a prose trade-off with Robin Ader, Wiener and Kickbutt. I would write a section one month, he'd write it the next time. And it was two totally different takes on the concept, but it was basically, he wrote it as an adventure featuring characters named Sash, Kickbutt, and Wiener, and my take on it was two fictional people in the APA, in APA 5, who were writing as their alter egos. So it it became a sort of a story within a story. So I got to experiment, and I got to just do things. And when that deadline was coming up, I would do something, maybe a cover or I would run inking samples that I had done because I didn't go to a lot of shows back in that time. Yeah, okay. I was doing conventions 1 or 2 a year, and but if I wanted feedback on my inking samples, I would run those. I did a zine just of collaborations called Prefab Collabs, where maybe I would ink something of somebody else's, or I would make copies and people could ink just to see different people's take on another penciler, or if I had access to pencils, that kind of thing. So it was a time of growth and learning. It's something I didn't get in school because I really didn't study art in school. I was a theater major. That's where my sweet voice came from.
So it was kind of motivation to create.
Right, exactly, and that's what I did.
It put you on a schedule. Yeah.
Yeah, and my main not so much competition, but it was against me. Whatever I did last month or 2 months ago, I would try to do something.
Yeah.
Maybe better. I would try, and by constantly doing that every month. Plus, I was active every single issue for like 50 issues or something. So that got my creative juices going, and it did the same thing for other people. And we sort of do that with comic related, with the forum, with the contest, and the different creators who do run their stuff through the forum and give previews or links to their stuff, or say, hey, check my book out. I love comic related, and I tout it all the time. Especially on the podcast, because without comic related, I mean, that's the sketch magazine is part, our old board is part of it, but I'm more active on the other parts of the board, really, just on the general. Well, I mean, even now, every week or just out of the blue, I'll find somebody, some creator or some book that's pretty cool. Guy named Fred. He posts as Fred Lang, but his last name is, I think it's Lang Hennig. Fred. He took my Bounty Hunter script, and I mentioned it before, but I'm blown away by what he turned out. He did it as a sample, but he's awesome, and he ghosted 2 pages of I think Power Man, maybe it's Shadowlands, something like that. He ghosted 2 pages of that, 14 and 15, I think. Yeah. And he's just awesome. And there are other people like that find comic related. They come in for whatever reason. Maybe it's a contest. Maybe it's one of their friends or one of the studios or companies that they like is a part of it.
Right.
And just like you said before, when you post something about yourself, or you invest personally in your project, then other people become invested as you grow, and as you do things, people get interested. Whether it's the status of your book right now, or if it's even sometimes personal growth or personal developments in your what you're doing or your job or whatever. If something benefits you, then other people can see the benefit and maybe take something back, and maybe get inspired by that. Or in some cases, it's a harder lesson to learn. Is that, well, I'm going to do that. But that's the thing about being on the internet too, is there is that connected bond kind of thing. What?
Yeah.
I heard Bob whisper something.
I know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Bob is complaining under his voice.
Bob is pissed about this pre-recording software.
No.
Apple's great though. I remember being asked by Bill to be involved, and I really had no clue what it was. It was cool to see all these other stuff people contributing, looking at it, and then you want to up the ante. You want, I got to put my best stuff out because all these guys are going to see it. So it's like the community boards that you have now.
Right.
The cool thing is everybody was real positive about the work, and and they wanted you to see get better, just like you wanted them to get better. So everybody was anting up, and I feel like we've sort of carried it out with Sketch, haven't we, Bill?
Yeah.
We've got nobody's there to slam you; it's there to help you get better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's really what you have to do, whether it's on a forum or I don't think it's really sort of a Pollyanna kind of thing. Just like when I did portfolio reviews, and I didn't mind doing them, but you would say, "How can you be so diplomatic?" But I've been on both sides of the table, so I know not so much what people want to hear, but what they want to be told in some ways. They want to be told how they can maybe get better, or maybe they're not ready, but they need to hear that they're not ready. Yeah. And this is what they need to work on. People respect honesty for the most part. Not all the time, because egos do play and stuff, but I get asked to look at people's websites or their samples or their pages on DeviantArt and to give my opinion, and that's all it is my opinion. But I'm honest about it. If I like it, I like it, and if I like it, and there is some sort of caveat there, well, I'm going to tell you what it is. But I'm not going to put you down because I like the way you spell your last name, or how you sign your page, or any of that stuff.
But no, what Bill is saying is really important, because it's interesting that first of all, I don't think people take enough advantage. Look at the collective history, Bob, between you and Bill. And I'm not trying to make you guys feel old, but
sure
just look at the exposure you've had within the industry. Look at the people you've met, the people you talk to. When you quote Frank Miller, have been in a group with you in the old days, just one of a number of names in that list. People need to stop by the sketch forums, show off their art, and also don't be shy. What you see with me is what you get. I'm not going to belittle you. I love people, and if I don't notice your art in the forum, feel free to message me or email me. If you've put some stuff up you think's great in the forum, send me a message, because a lot of times I'll point to it from the main page of Comic Related to give those creators, even if you don't want to do a full story on it. We'll point from our rapid fire news to give you another outlet to pump, to give you some visits. We've done that for a lot of creators who are just putting their first work out there.
Yeah.
It gets your name out.
If I see something cool, then I'll message you or John. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
please.
There's cool stuff all the time, and there's so much of it sometimes that it's very easy to get lost in the shuffle. So
yeah.
That's one of the things about Comic Related too, is that there is a personality. There is not just with Chuck or John or whoever, but Ron's on there a lot, and Bill, and there's Brand. There's a ton of people who are on there, and that's part of it. Is they're on there and they are supportive of everybody else. So I don't know.
We got a cool family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But okay, one more thing on it. When you get press at Comic Related or on the community boards, you do a press. Promote that on your medias. Let people know where they can go find it. Hey, we got a little write-up over Comic Related. Check it out. Put your links out there.
Yep.
So work all the angles, definitely.
That's the one thing I don't understand sometimes. It doesn't happen all that often, but I'll do an interview, and it is a brilliant, not me, the creator. The creator has come out, and they've just put out their heart on the plate in an interview. And then there's no link to it on Facebook. They don't Twitter it. It's not on their website. I just don't. That just mystifies me, because you have something where you sold yourself in a way that you just don't get the chance a lot, and you didn't put it to use.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not just for feeding back to Comic Related, but promote yourself.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's just great to see yourself recognized in another form.
Well, yeah, it's all about just building this wider circle around you that you're trying to get exposure from.
Yeah.
We don't want to do these in a cave, even though a lot of us do them in 4x8 rooms at the moment. But you've got to reach out to an audience that, welcome back, Bill,
Hey,
to try to promote.
Yeah, and if you've heard me on other podcasts, you know how I kind of sound when I'm doing an interview or something. I do sound different here because this is something I'm passionate about. This is something I get excited about. Is promotion and getting out there and helping people is the reason I do this. There's no other reason right now. Certainly, it's I want to help. That's just the key for me. It's that simple.
Right. Well, we do appreciate it, Chuck. We do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I don't. You don't have to. Yeah, I get more out of this than anybody can give me because when I see collaborations coming forth in the form, when I see a book from two people who never knew each other before they met in comic related, that is the most exciting freaking thing to me.
Well, speaking of coming together, I think next week we're going to try to get a hold of Darren and talk about the the trading card that Darren's working on.
Darren's baby.
Yeah. And we tried to bring him in the other night when we tried to do this, but he was feeling ill again.
Yeah.
So maybe we can get him scheduled for next week, guys.
Awesome.
And we'll talk about the trading card and talk a lot more about that. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
But
cool.
All right. Well, guys, unfortunately, we can't really do a tie-up unless Chuck wants to hang on because my recording software has just died.
I'd be happy to hang on for you.
Yeah, over at the sketch blog at Comic Related, there's quite a bit. Two things were by request. I got an email from a creator requesting a couple of things, and I have two things on the use of a French curve. Specifically asked for how to use a French curve, and I found two interesting videos. One, surprisingly enough, using a French curve on a Wacom Cintiq.
What?
Yeah, actually using a French curve, just laying the French curve right on the Wacom.
Wow.
And using it with the pin. The only caveat being you have to peel away a little of the plastic of the pin to make it work right. But this guy was doing some pretty cool stuff on a classic card drawing he had done with the French curve on a Wacom. So pretty darn nifty. Then after that, I have a couple of things on creating comic strips. Of course, we were all... you, of course, have Clay's Way. There are several comic strips that run on Comic Related. There will hopefully be even more coming, either returning or brand new ones coming in 2011. Yep. So got a couple things there on creating a comic strip. And then I've got one Bill will appreciate. Way back in the day, my first non-superhero comic foray was with Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
And I found some videos of Mark Schultz, who's bringing Cadillacs and Dinosaurs back out in a collected form, calling it Xenozoic.
I have it sitting right here.
Oh, you already have it?
Yes.
So, yeah, there's a couple of videos. It's an interview with this guy who calls himself Mr. Comics or something like that. But anyway, with him. And then speaking of Mr. Comics, I have a couple of videos with Joe Staten, the legendary Marvel guy, the legendary Marvel creator, who talks about a little bit of everything. He talks about what he uses. He shows off his studio a little bit. He talks a little bit about the comic code, and he talks about how he worked with Jack Kirby for years and never actually met the man.
Wow.
And then moving on from there, Dwayne Ferguson's inking in a digital format. And then the reason that this is kind of a long one is we had a little computer issue at one time at Comic Related, and my comic-related compadre, Brant Fowler, kind of stepped up to the plate since he doesn't sleep the hours of a normal individual. He actually sleeps like a vampire. And he slipped in and did a rather long, extended one on inking SpongeBob SquarePants on Adobe Illustrator. It actually ended up being about 6 or 7 videos.
Wow.
I think maybe even 8. I mean, it takes up a significant amount.
Never turn your back.
yeah. No, I can never let the sketch blog alone, or he'll attack. But yeah, it's much appreciated that he stepped up to the plate for me and put this tutorial on SpongeBob. So if that's your cup of tea, by all means, go check that out. Then back onto stuff I did. I came across a video with the artist on Batman Inc., which is, extremely popular right now. His name is Yannick Paquette, perhaps. Very bad pronunciation, but he's essentially talking about how he got where he is right now. Essentially how he the road, as I put it on the thing. He talked about, as we often talk about, how we got where we are now. We talk about the road. So he talks about his road to comic success. Then, and I think this is a comic that Chuck enjoyed at one time called Chew.
Oh, I love Chew. Chew's fun.
Yeah.
Chew's fun.
Yeah, the guy that inks Chew, I found an extended thing of him inking Chew. And then I found this one of Jessica Abel. She and her husband or partner have this book out called, I think it's called Writing Pictures, Drawing Words, to be exact. And they approach comic creation from almost an academic sort of way. And she is in a classroom with, looks like college students, showing them how to hand letter with an Ames guide.
Wow.
Now, I probably just said a bunch of words that people have no clue what I'm talking about, since most lettering is done digitally now. But there was this little plastic device way back in the day called an Ames guide, where you had to take that and a ruler, and that's how you lettered your comics. Well, she's showing the kids, and she even mentions at one point that it's important, even if they never do it, it's important for them to know how. Right. So, it's actually an extended session on lettering with a names guide. Prior to that, I think the only thing left to catch me up is I have a short interview on process and influences by the guy who did 30 Days of Night and the Mystery Society. He's a writer called Steve Niles. Mm-hmm. And in a somewhat extended interview with him on how he got to his level. And I believe that may even catch us up there. So if not, I'm going to leave it with that and let people go look for themselves.
All right. Plus, we have something for the next podcast.
Indeed.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, what's been going on over in the boards? We still got the art contest happening?
Yeah. It's just win the Despicable Me DVD, and the contest is to draw your favorite supervillain doing something heroic. And you can go to the comic-related forum, the community, and go to the Sketch Magazine section under contests, and it's right there.
And I'll put in a plug that Despicable Me is one of the best animated movies I've seen in a long time. I just saw it this last weekend, so that is quite the comic prize.
It really is. We've watched it 3 times with my youngest, so yeah.
Love that film.
You pick up something new every time, too.
Yeah, that film is
amazing.
Awesome.
It is cool.
Sorry, John, you left too early.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to stay, but I had to go. It's a shame. I really want to see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking. Speaking of the sketch forums, you really ought to bring back prefab collabs, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, in some way, either on the sketch forum or on Comics Mentor or something. But I think that'd be cool to revisit that.
Yeah, we've talked about even doing something for Sketch where different inkers ink the same page. And actually, our next Sketch Magazine contest will be an inking contest over Andy Smith.
Cool.
So.
Cause, yeah, I haven't thought about that stuff in a while.
Nice.
I mean, I remember my old APA name from my section of the zine, so it's like, little memory lane time here.
Nice.
Well, guys, we've held Chuck on here for a while now, and we appreciate that he decided to record this too, considering the problems we've had. So.
It's 10 p.m. I got to go find food.
All right.
That is true. That is true.
That's true. Well, John, how can they find you?
They can always find me at john@sketchmagazine.net, john@comicrelated.com, and now john@sequentialsupport.com.
Man, you got a lot of emails.
I know. It's essentially John at something, and I'm there.
Bill, how can they stumble across you?
Well, they can go to comicsmentor.com. If they want to email me, it's comicsmentor@gmail.com. Easy, go to the comic related forum. I'm usually there or checking in something.
All right. And Chuck,
on the cool stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Check on the cool stuff. Chuck, how can they find you?
Comicrelated.com, sequentialsupport.com, Chuck in front of either of those for an email address. And actually, for a personal side, I encourage people to go find me on Facebook because I'm pretty much living my life in public. So come on over and have fun.
Hanging out, writing, and...
Yeah, you can find out everything that's going on with everything from there, too.
Just got to be careful with that Foursquare on the iPhone, right?
Yeah, no
they
kidding.
Can really find you. You can catch me at bobh@bluelinepro.com. I'm stumbling around either sketchmagazine.net or bluelinepro.com, or I'm or claysway.com, which this is taking a hiatus this week only because I'm running way behind, and I will make a post tomorrow stating that, but it'll be back live next week. I'm just in the middle of a huge project, and it's just taking up all my time. So, guys, I appreciate it. I know.
That's me motivating you. No. Happens to all of us, bud.
I know.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
See ya.
Right.
Bye.